Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Sequoia. I'm Nicole.
Hi, Wendy.
Wendy, nice to meet you.
I'm John. Good
Hi,
to see you
John. It's
again.
good to see you again. Thank you guys for making the time to meet with me and John meet with me a second time. I really appreciate it.
Figured I would bring in a couple other people in the family business, or
Yeah.
that will be in the family business someday.
Totally, and great to see more faces, and hopefully I can kind of tailor this to you guys as well, because this system obviously affects everyone. So I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah.
Just so I can kind of get to know you a little bit better, I'll introduce myself first. My name is Sequoia Davies. I'm a sales representative at Bayer. I spoke with John briefly about kind of our system and implementing a minimum acreage, but maybe if you guys want to tell me a little bit about yourselves and your role in the operation, I could tailor this to you as well and kind of see where I can help.
Yeah, so I'm Wendy, like I said, and John and I have been married for 25 years. I'm a school teacher by trade, but really have been getting a lot more involved in the operation. So doing a lot of the bookkeeping and really recently digitizing a lot more things. You know, as we got John Deere ops and our sprayers, we were able to pull a lot more information in. So, you know, kind of over the next few years, hoping to get even more involved and, you know, help take us into the next century.
Yeah.
Help of our son that knows how to do that.
Yeah, and you know, I'm currently going to SDSU and studying ag biz, and you know, I'm really fortunate. My parents are supporting me in that, and you know, someday hope to come back and farm with them,
Yeah.
take over the farm. Right now, you know, I'm really trying to look at and utilize / introduce my parents to new technology.
Yeah.
You know, it's always hard to adapt, and you know, I see this digital piece as well as short form really unlocking a lot of, you know, different conversations, management practices that we can do on the farm to increase yield and ROI. So, you know, trying to teach the old dog new tricks.
Yeah, we got me sold a little bit more on the digital piece
Yeah.
since we last met, but these are the experts on that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to focus on what can we do, how do we make it happen.
We all play a different role in great industry, by the way. I graduated ag biz. I know we're kind of similar ages, so hopefully this will resonate with you a little more, and hopefully I can help with the digitizer, the technology movement there.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So I know John and I talked a lot about Pression in the last meeting, but was he able to translate kind of what that system is over to you guys, or do you want another brief overview, kind of?
I think we had a good conversation about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I understand the benefits. I think understanding how we can unlock some of the potential of it.
Yeah.
What we
Yeah,
could talk
exactly.
about.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, just explaining the system in itself, it doesn't really tell you how is this going to really affect our farm specifically. And so I took some notes in our last meeting, and I kind of, based on different like optimized agronomic management approaches, I think that for your field specifically, I would take more of a optimized nitrogen approach. Now, currently, how are you guys basically timing your nitrogen input, and kind of how does that work for you? Do you have specific times, or do you kind of treat them all the same for the field?
I mean, all the corn is pretty much just spring apply.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried to dabble a little bit with some side dressing, but it's more of a commitment to try to get back out in the field multiple times. So try to keep it simple and just do a lot up front early.
Totally. And I mean, understandable. I think like that's kind of been the norm, is to apply it when you can and kind of see what happens there. But I think for, especially with Pression, being able to deal with that in-season management is one of our biggest benefits. I think that with Field View, not only would that make your job easier, Wendy, I know that right now, getting all this data not aggregated and having to keep in the books and kind of digitize everything is not an easy feat. And I think that to be able to expand this operation, taking some time off your plate with Field View and things like this is not only going to be beneficial, but with the short statured corn, not only are you able to experiment with in-season management, but you can also experiment with your inputs. So I know you mentioned in our last meeting that input costs were very important to you guys, and especially with today's climate and nitrogen costs going through the roof. I think that if we really want to focus on a more ROI driven approach, I think an optimized nitrogen application plan would be a great fit for you guys. If you're able to, if I can explain that a little more.
Please.
Perfect. Okay, so in this plan, we would look at your Pression field. So I know we agreed to about a 50 minimum acreage, and I think Pression in itself is a great product. It'll increase ROI and it ultimately be great for your operation. But if we manage your different nitrogen inputs and use more of an in-season approach with nitrogen, I think we can get a lot more out of what we're putting in. Because nitrogen, as you know, if you plant it just at the beginning of the season, nitrogen often needs, or corn often needs a nitrogen later on in the season. And so if we're applying it all at the beginning, not only are we wasting some of that input, but we're not giving our corn the opportunity to grow and like behave how it should be. So if we're able to use Field View and see where on this field is nitrogen needed? Where on this field is our yield higher? Where is it lower? We're able to go in season and apply this nitrogen rather than just in the beginning of the season. Now, this sounds like more work. I know it kind of is like, well, if I'm doing it right now and this kind of works for me, why would I change it? That's totally understandable. But in this way, it's not necessarily more work, it's just more tailored work. It's more specific work. You're able to say, okay, if I need to apply nitrogen to this part of my field, I can, but rather than applying it everywhere at one specific time, you're able to kind of treat each field individually and understand what's happening when and where. And obviously, we're not going to leave you high and dry here. That's the reason I kind of want to develop this plan. I want to make sure over at Bayer, we're helping you make these decisions, helping you see where you should apply nitrogen and when you should. Obviously, you said you've experimented with the side dress window, but with short statured corn, it not only expands that side dress window, but with our field view, we're able to see where that nitrogen is needed. So not only do you have more time to apply it, but you have a more precise idea of where to apply it. I know it's kind of an overwhelming idea, but I think specifically since you said you already have the equipment for it, I know you mentioned having a Hagie and things like that. I think being able to use equipment we already have, mitigate the cost of expanding in that way, and also mitigate the cost of these increased inputs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I know it's kind of a lot putting out there, but
No, I think it does. As long as you think that there's a way I can track that and make sure that it's making me money or
Yeah.
making me more money at the end of the day, I think you laid it out very, very well.
yeah, I do think so. And I think with field view, tracking is easy, but also with us over at Bayer helping you lay out this plan, I think it would be very beneficial. We want to be there every step of the way and make sure not only are we succeeding, but we're enhancing the benefits of Precion itself. I also know I only talked about nitrogen, but this doesn't just apply to nitrogen. With this in-season management and field view, we can expand towards optimized fungicide or crop protection inputs. So we're able to see, okay, if you apply fungicide in one clean swoop, well, it only lasts 3 to 4 weeks before it washes off. If we're able to use field view and see, okay, my plant, there's disease here, like my plant needs it, you're able to apply fungicide when it's needed and where it's needed, rather than a blanket approach that doesn't always catch problems before they occur. So I think if we start with a plan to kind of roll out a nitrogen input and maybe compare a Precion field with this nitrogen plan and see, kind of do it based on what I'm explaining. And then we looked at maybe a past field with your tall corn. If you have the data on that and we're able to send that over, we can compare the two and ultimately see if Precion is something you want to expand more on, or if we kind of want to take a different route, focus on fungicide, things like that. But I think ultimately comparing your traditional ideas to what we have going on here is important.
Since we already have field view, can we use that with our tall corn as well?
Yeah, well, field view, I mean, we have it tailored to our short statured corn. Kind of the idea of field view is to manage what we have going on. If field view the hard drive attaches to your equipment, so if you could use it on your tall corn, but you're not going to get the same precise, I guess, measurements that you would be using on it's made for the short statured corn, but I mean, it is your product and you own it. So, I mean, if you wanted to use it on your tall corn, that is totally possible as well. But I think if we really want to compare this new system compared to your old traditional or your ways that you're doing them right now, I think it'd be beneficial to look at, okay, this older process, this new process, and see if Precion is something we want to expand on. Yeah, well, and Michael, I know, kind of not to leave you high and dry there, I know this is honestly, if anything, most important, probably in your case. I think if you're planning on taking over the farm in the future, I think not only would I want you involved in this process, I know you're trying to learn a little bit more before you kind of step into this role, but
Yeah.
I think it would be really helpful for you to kind of, I know you understand the new step farming is going into, so I think being involved and understanding this process would be very beneficial, especially if you guys continue to use it. So
I really like all the stuff you described, and that's really what I'm trying to show Dad. You know, we can try these new management practices, but now we can actually visually see the impact on our operation on a per acre and a per pass, type way. So, I'm really looking forward to showcasing what we can do.
yeah. Well, if we could get that plan rolling and kind of get that data from you and make sure we're measuring it properly, I'd love to keep working with you guys and hopefully we can maybe expand in the future.
Yeah, they got me an iPad. They said they share
Yeah.
their fields with the whatever. So I think that they maybe have it all figured out. And I'm very interested in kind of what you laid out there to try to bring us into some different management practices.
Well, good. I'm glad this all worked out, and it was nice to meet the both of you and speak with you, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Appreciate the time.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you, Michael.